gentlemen, and welcome to your Friday agenda video. Today, Mrs. Lopez is unable to attend, so your King George III is here to preside. First thing you're going to do today is watch this video. You're welcome. After you watch this video, we are going to talk about the French and Indian War. Not my favorite topic particularly, but nonetheless, I suppose I can give you a thorough historical analysis of it. We will give this mini lecture, and after that, you are going to do a discussion post where I need your help. What would you do if you were in my shoes? After that, you are going to start the Road to Revolution Choose Your Own Adventure activity. Man, it sounds like your teacher is a really nice and fun social studies teacher. Lucky you. So, yesterday you watched an Edpuzzle all about the French and Indian War, and during that Edpuzzle, it was your job to learn about the impact of this significant war. Oh no, hold on. But let's summarize. In summary, the French and Indian War. The French and British colonists came into conflict over territory in the Ohio River Valley. The British colonists wanted this territory because, duh, we needed it. We had 1 million people living in the colonies and we deserved it. Both of us recruited the support of Native Americans. Unfortunately, for some reason, they didn't love the British influence in the colonies, and so they didn't really love being on our side, but we did have some. However, the French had a large proportion of the Native American support, which led to their early victories in the first battles of the war. Now, in general, there was lots of fighting. Those redcoats were fighting proudly for us, and it's important to understand that those colonists were also fighting with us, including George Washington. Yes, your hero, George Washington. George Washington rose as a lieutenant colonel. Did you know that colonel was spelt that way? I did not know. English is a very weird language. Nonetheless, here's a painting of George Washington at a battle during the French and Indian War. At one point, he was shot. He was shot 4 times through his coat, and 2 horses were shot under him. Apparently, this painting does not depict that, which is interesting. Nonetheless, George Washington was shot, which means that the war itself was not going all that well for the British, aka the colonists at the time, largely because of their red coats. It's kind of hard to fight against the guerrilla warfare of the Native Americans in the middle of a forest when you're wearing a bright red coat. I should have thought about that, but I didn't. And what happened because of this war? Eventually, this guy right here, his name is William Pitt, one of my favorite supporters and loyalists. He was the Secretary of State at the time, and he decided to fund the war using money that the monarchy simply did not have. He cashed a credit card, if you will, and that credit card was for 140 million pence. That's about $686 billion in today's money. Seems that my accent is wavering. And the reason this matters, this whole bit about William Pitt, is because regardless of what we think about his spending, the British won. But we had a problem, you see. We were in debt, like a lot of debt, because that war was very expensive. However, we won, and that's all that matters, right? So, before the war, you'll notice that the French, this red slew of land here, had quite a bit of territory, but after the war in 1763, we see that that red color is gone. It's gone, ladies and gentlemen. That's because the British really seize a large amount of territory. Let's not talk about the fact that eventually the French come back and colonize the majority of Canada and the Louisiana territory. However, for now, we are in the lead, but again, in debt. So again, the British perspective to the colonists, you're welcome. We fought a war for you, for land. You're welcome. To the colonists, it really wasn't an interest to them. I'm not entirely sure why, but they didn't feel like it was their problem or their war to fight. So I have a question. I need your help, people. What would you do? What would you do if you were me? How would you pay for the French and Indian War? Truthfully, I'd like some suggestions here because oftentimes reading history books, people are very critical of me taxing the colonists or whatever. But the reality is, what other choice did I have? So I'd like you to pause this video and complete the discussion post in Schoology. Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You should have posted some suggestions that could have kept me in more positive regard in the history books about what I could have done about this expensive war. The next thing we are going to do is something that will take us 2 days. We will work on it today. We will also work on it on Monday. It is the Road to Revolution Choose Your Own Adventure activity. Your target, the goal, is to investigate the events that led to the Revolutionary War. The War of American Treason, truly. And the way you are going to do this is by completing a guided timeline and using a really fantastic slideshow that your teacher created. The whole goal is that we are understanding why the pot is going to boil over. And it happens in 3 stages, 3 temperatures, if you will. Resist is the first, the second is rebel, and the third is revolt. So I'm going to switch screens really quickly. You will have access to these slides, and your task is to investigate the events that led up to the revolution. Once you get here, the directions say, this week we will be learning about the causes of the American Revolution. In order to learn about the events that led up to the war, you will investigate 5 different acts that encourage the colonists to revolt. Remember, boiling pot. Click on each of the topics below to be redirected to the appropriate station. Once there, you should investigate by watching the video, analyzing the primary sources, and observing the images. Think of it sort of like a museum. Next, complete the Let's Review activity, which is a game typically to review. Finally, you're going to fill in that timeline with the information you've learned at each station, roughly 8 minutes per station. So, for example, I'm going to start with this one, the Proclamation Act. Here's a little tidbit all about the act itself. Here's a cool video I can watch, and if the video doesn't work within the slides, I can click on the link to take it to YouTube. Here's a map, and here's a political cartoon. A few things. This is the Let's Review activity. Once you click on this activity, it's going to take you to a Kahoot to play. How fun! And it's a 3-question Kahoot, the easiest Kahoot of your life. Now, if you ever get stuck and you don't know where to go next, and you've done clicking around at the station, this home button in the bottom right corner will get you back to that first slide. And then you can click on the next slide, and the next slide. You catch my drift. You will use these choose your own adventure. You can go out of order, I don't care. You can choose your own adventure. You can tackle whatever sources you want at each station. You're going to, again, look at the stuff that's there, complete the Let's Review activity, and then go home if you get stuck. Now, once you're done with the activities, you've done the Let's Review activity, you've aced it, you've racked it, that is when you should turn to your timeline and fill it in. So the Proclamation Act of 1763 was my first station, right? On the timeline, I need to list what it was, in my own words, and how did it impact the lives of the colonists. A few quick thoughts for each of these boxes will suffice. These are your notes, though, so the better you do on this, the better you will probably do on the quiz. Okay, again, this will take us today and Monday. So budget your time. Don't spend too much time on this today. You'll have all of Monday to work as well. If you have any questions, email me or King George III, and I am here to help you.